Welcome to this week's episode of Bird Brain, which is the second one I'm recording live from Bird Fair. Today, I'm very, very excited because I have got the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hosts from How Many Geese podcast. And for my own listeners that haven't checked out How Many Geese yet, you're in for a real treat. I found out about this duo when I was invited to Bird Fair, and I started listening. I wasn't sure if it was going to be my sort of thing, and the longer I listened, the more obsessed I became. I actually started texting it to everyone I know, and guys shamelessly said to people who were going to be my upcoming guests, please, can you kind of go with this sort of energy? This is what I want. I want to bounce off people that genuinely sound excited to talk about these things. So I realize that it's probably really awkward to be bigged up this way face to face, but it is true. I'm so excited to have you. So to get started, can I get you, please, to both introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what it is that makes you love talking about nature?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelly. So I'm Roddy, one half of How Many Geese, and this is my co-host,
Jack.
There we go.
Of How Many Geese.
And yeah, so we started the show 3 years ago. Thank you very much for all the lovely words you said. And I suppose it was just in a bit of an effort to make nature slightly less hush whispers. And, you know, if we thought something was fucking cool, we were going to say it was that, you know, and put it in people's faces because we love it. We want to celebrate it. And there's a lot to shout about with it. So we come at it from that kind of, let's get a little outside of the box. Let's get a little louder. Let's get a little more out there with it. We've kind of thrown things around like a really wild show for grown-ups, or this idea that shows like Steve Irwin were kind of aimed at kids, and once you got older than 14, 15, there wasn't really anything for you. It then just hard geared changed to very serious talks about nature.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And we wanted to keep that kind of energy alive for the kind of grown-ups who kept loving it as much as they did when they were kids.
And we met, whenever it was, 2017, 2016?
17.
In Madagascar on a field course that we were there. We were on an expedition, we met there, and we would just spend hours when we weren't doing our work chatting about nature. And there were other people there, similar age to us, sort of 20s, 30s, and that energy of those age people talking about nature is you can talk about nature in the same way that you can talk about sports and music and all that sort of stuff. But as Roddy's mentioned there, our frustration was, it seems to be when you get to TV or radio or all that sort of stuff, nature becomes very earnest, and it becomes, you know, very, oh, look at this amazing, spectacular thing. And it is amazing and spectacular, but sometimes you just want to take the mick out of it. Yeah. So that's what we try to do.
I also really love this point. So I studied the MA in travel and nature writing, and when I undertook this, I assumed I was going to focus more on travel writing. So I really like writing about place. But my lecturer, the lead lecturer, was Stephen Moss. So obviously he's a birder with bird Tourette's. So we talked about nature all the time, which was fabulous. But one of the things that I really took from that course was that, as is normal in academia, you obviously have sort of lofty conversations about the aims of the canon of literature. And I noticed that there was a growing trend of saying, should we even be writing about nature or engaging in conversations about nature if we are not talking about protecting it and conserving it? And I really railed against this. And I remember somebody on my course, and you know, she was just chipping in to push a conversation, which I appreciate. But she made this comment that stuck to me. And I was doing this in 2018, and it still literally burrows in my head and annoys me all the time. And she said, well, you know, the thing is, David Attenborough programs, they bring endangered and scarce species into people's living rooms as if they're abundant. What is going to force you to care about them if everyone can see them on TV? And I just, although that is a really interesting academic conversation, I feel that there is so much sort of snobbery bound up in that idea of, why shouldn't anybody be able to see something in their living room? And actually, if you want to create care in people, you need to inform them. And we've seen this across the spectrum of culture. And in fact, Bird Fair is a great example of this. You can see that the tour companies now, when they have conversations, they are promoting the fact that they work with local guides. 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't happening. Foreign countries would be setting up tours and there would be no local guides, and a lot of the money wouldn't go back into the economy the same. conversations about the morality of that have totally shifted tourism. And I think it's fantastic. But I think that nature needs to have that makeover. Everybody should be invited to be part of the conversation. And I think it's why I love your podcast so much, because you have the knowledge, but you also bring the fun and you make it accessible to everyone.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that's the point. And just trying to make it a fun thing to, I think you're right, is that it is very important. And, the Attenborough stuff is now doing it a lot more than it used to in bringing those conservation messages as well. But I think it's also sometimes just nice to have fun with nature. It's fun to laugh about it. It's fun to hear about mad stories and not get too bogged down in the...
Yeah, and also nobody wants every story to be predictable. You don't want to just have, this is great, but now it's in danger. Yeah. Even though that is true, it's the same with everything. We like to be surprised. We like to not know where something's going. And I think if you want to make something memorable, you surprise people. And a lot of the things that you can find out about nature is genuinely surprising and stunning. Like when I was here the other day, I found out that there is a type of frog that changes color just for a couple of weeks. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing. And now I'll remember it forever. Yes, I won't know the correct noun. I'm really sorry. But I remember that frog exists.
Yeah, and I think what we found is by doing it in a more light-hearted way, we certainly felt this, is that when we did a special series where we went to Mexico. We went to the Mexican jungle and we joined a team of scientists there, and we joined them on their surveys, and we did birds and bats and all this sort of stuff. And then at the end of it, I remember us having sort of a really poignant reflection moment, which was the first time we'd really got properly serious on the podcast, and we learnt about how this forest was being really decimated by climate change, in that it was drying out all the water sources for the animals and things like that. And I felt that we were able to have a much more poignant moment of seriousness because of the nature of the podcast we are normally, that we were able to stick that with a lot more feeling than if every episode we were saying things are terrible, things are terrible, things are terrible, because it just washes over you. But the fact that we'd seen this thing firsthand, and we were reflecting on how this amazing stuff that we had been enjoying in a light-hearted way over the course of a few weeks, but then we were then able to finish on quite a serious moment, which I think gave it more weight, because we weren't saying that all the time.
And it just grinds people down as well. If all you're ever listening to is how awful everything is and how everything is right on the edge of disaster and all the rest, then, yeah, as Jack says, when you say that again and again and again, it just starts washing people over. So, yeah, I'm happy to play the fool or whatever, so long as it kind of gets a bit more interest and a bit more fun out there, because the people within the nature bubble might keep listening to how stuff is on the edge and how populations are going down and a new virus has emerged that's about to take blackbirds out and all the rest, right? But the people outside of that bubble aren't going to tune in. They're not going to keep with that because they've got 100 other things going on with their life, right? So if I can give them a laugh on their way to work and they end it off thinking, oh my God, there's a frog that changes colour for a week, then there's a chance that they might...
It starts that journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also we've seen it reflected in politics. The more that people believe that something, the problem is insurmountable, the less they actually invest and engage in taking small steps, because they just think, well, it's above me, nothing's going to change. And I often think that makes people more extreme in their either willingness to engage or completely the opposite. And I think that the things that we need to bring change are going to take a lot of time and effort. So you really don't want to put people off right at the gate by making it seem so insurmountable. I'm glad we're on the same page. Right.
Started very serious.
I know. I like it. I really don't like small talk, I've got to be honest. I'm not very good at it either. So what I will do, though, is move us on to our bird of the episode. And I do try to make it my mission to ask my guests to pick. So I'm going to let you guys do the big reveal of who our character is, what species they are, and why exactly you put them on my radar.
So I will jump in here. So we, got the pitch of kind of bird from popular culture, and being always wanting to make sure we're remaining current and the tip of the spear and really tapping into what society might be talking about.
Yeah.
We've gone with 1997's George of the Jungle's lead bird, Tookie Tookie, the toucan. I
really laughed when you sent me this, because I was like, I don't know this I don't know this film.
Forgiven.
And then I also felt like it was a bad omen because I actually do have Disney Plus, and for some reason it just wouldn't play George of the Jungle. I spent weeks.
Also forgiven.
I know. I kept trying to play it on my TV, and I was like, it won't work. I cleared the cache. I was like reading up on my TV settings. I was like going in all these forums, and I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this deep dive into how to play George of the Jungle. I had to watch it as someone else's in the end. It was that bad.
Sorry, can I come round to watch George of the Jungle?
Yeah, they were appalled.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have just sent us a message and we'd have.
My Disney Plus is staging an intervention and not allowing me to watch George of the Jungle.
I'm going through Toshiba forums online.
I know. I've got to say, though, I actually enjoyed it way more than I was expecting.
I did as well when I sat down to watch it. I couldn't actually say. So you asked us also, let's actually get this out of the way, why we picked this bird.
Yes, please.
So to set that up, George of the Jungle, for anyone unfamiliar, is basically a spoof of Tarzan. Brendan Fraser plays George, and oh my God, Leslie Mann is the female lead. Anyway, the point is just that spoof of Tarzan, set in Africa, child raised by animals, but most of the animals in it are not from Africa. And the lead, his best friend, this bird, Tookie Tookie the toucan, is from the bloody Amazon.
Yeah.
And as silly and as fun and as light-hearted as the film may be, why can't they just pick a bird that's from the bloody place that the film is meant to be set?
Yeah. Parrots were right there.
Yeah.
They were right there.
So what would have you gone for if you were going to keep it accurate?
Well, I think if you're the producer and you like the look of a toucan, hornbills
Perfect.
are toucan adjacent. They are essentially the toucans of Africa and of the old world and Asia and places like that. You know, they've got the long beak, they've got everything that a toucan's got. If you want something that can be the friend of someone, then the parrots.
Do you think they didn't run with the hornbill, though? Because in keeping the same name, it would have had to be Horny, the hornbill, instead of Tookie Tookie the toucan.
Yeah.
And having a lead character called Horny in a children's film might not have landed with the audiences.
Yeah,
The
maybe.
adults might have liked it, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
one
like-
for the dads.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was... the film, so I watched it as well this week. It's literally been lodged in my head since I don't know when, because clearly I was a more pretentious child than they were expecting when they pitched this film. But it always stuck to me that this bird was not meant to be from the place. So to illustrate the point in how reckless they were with their wildlife casting, animals they got right in the film.
Ooh.
Gorilla,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Chimpanzee,
And when we say correct, we just mean in the continent.
on the continent.
It's a wide group.
If we want to zoom in even further
Oh, yes,
with
please.
how all over the shop movies can be with nature, I googled the forest he's meant to have crashed in.
Oh.
That's actually a city in one part of Africa.
Right.
And then throughout it, they're mentioning other points, landmarks, like Lake Tanganyika. That's another place. They're like, oh, I've just been for a walk in Burundi. That's another country. It's like, just keep things in one bloody location
Yep.
when you're dealing with the natural world. What is it adding by bringing in countries and lakes and... Oh,
It's like in The Simpsons when they say the 4 states that border Springfield, and they're all in like the 4 different corners of America,
Yeah.
so they don't give away its location.
exactly. So, yes, not discounting where in particular Africa, just working on Africa as a continent. Gorillas, correct. Chimps,
Check.
lions.
Check.
Things they got wrong.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah,
Also, lions in the jungle.
that too.
That's another one.
At the end, I will say as well, at the end there's a kind of a spoof on the Lion King Pride Rock thing with just
Yeah.
a load of antelopes and all the rest.
Yeah.
We're lumping all of those in. So that kind of like general hooved.
Montage.
Exactly, right? But key animals who get a real spotlight on them, those 3. Wrong. Macaws,
Yeah, South America.
Ooh.
orangutans,
Whoa, way off.
cockatoos,
Yeah.
Asian elephants,
Oh dear.
capuchin monkeys,
Yeah.
conures,
Yeah.
camels, rhesus macaques,
Right.
and Tookie Tookie the toucan.
I forgot there were camels in it.
Oh, and there's one other bit, sorry, that he makes a whole point about, I said there's this female lead, Tarzan, he's falling in love with her, he wants to give her a token of his love, and he goes, take this, it's my, I got this tooth from fighting a crocodile, it's a shark tooth on a necklace.
Oh, really? Did
Yep.
you spot that? That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
It's anarchy, Kelly, it's anarchy. They tore up the rule book in 1997. They didn't care.
So we want there to be fun in nature. We don't need these continuity errors.
No, that's the thing. We want there to be fun. We don't want there to be inaccuracies. Write it down. Get that on the T-shirts.
Yes.
Fun, not inaccuracy.
Yeah, and I think that is the thing when you choose to make a film like this. Like you said, they obviously have done a bit of research in terms of they've used some accurate names, and then they've just gone rogue with them.
In terms of they Googled jungle animals, or tropical animals, or animals that live in hot places,
or
so
just animal,
a camel in.
They pull out a GCSE textbook and flick through for some pictures of what's alive,
like the DK Child's Encyclopedia.
Exactly, yeah. Some kind of painting by numbers, like the kind of 90s pencil cases that have like a dolphin sort of jumping over a rainbow with that kind of like painting by numbers kit of just medley of animals.
We went down into the early learning centre and looked at their box of animal toys.
Exactly. The producers took one look at that and just went, "Here's a check, 55 million, make it."
Is that how much it cost?
55 million. Returns at the box office 177 million.
Wow, it's a smash.
As chaotic as the nature thing is, and I did kind of jump in when you pitched it to both of us, because Jack and I have mentioned this kind of like movies and media not picking up on the thing, and I thought this is our entry point. This toucan,
moment to shine.
This is our Roman Empire.
Exactly. But yeah, when I rewatched it, like you said, it is so close because they're being silly, they're being fun. The movie is so silly. It's so self-aware of how silly it is. I found myself switching off and watching it and enjoying it, but then there'd be a bloody orangutan, and I'm like, you're meant to be in Africa!
Yeah, I really like the way the film breaks the fourth wall.
Oh, relentlessly.
I found that really amusing. But yeah, the inaccuracies were wild. In terms of toucans themselves, do you have an affection for toucans? How do you rate them?
I like a toucan. I've seen toucans we've seen toucans most recently in Mexico.
Yeah.
So last year when we were on a trip to Mexico for the podcast, we saw the toucans there. They're great birds, and they've got what I like about them is in general, if you're talking about the big ones, so like the Toko toucan in George of the Jungle, they've got a very smart body. Black, white, very classic, very clean. I'm a big fan of a black and white monochrome bird. And then stuck to their face, as though it has been air fixed to them, like some sort of model, they just have the most ridiculous paint by numbers beak you've ever seen. So I like that they're party on the top, business on the body. I think that's a really good look for the toucans.
Flying mullet.
Another thing I really like about toucans is how surprisingly hardcore they are.
Yeah.
So toucans, they have that big long beak, which I should say is it's incredibly lightweight, obviously, to be stuck on the front of their face, so they're not constantly falling out the trees as soon as they try and take off. But it's incredibly lightweight, and they use it generally for reaching fruit and things like that. But there are toucans that will sit next to hummingbird feeders and snap at hummingbirds. We had a camera trap up in Honduras that got one raiding a hummingbird's nest and taking the chicks. So they can be pretty hardcore birds.
I didn't know they did
that. They're meat eaters as well. Mostly what they eat is fruit, but a toucan will not turn its massive whacking great big beak up at just snapping a hummingbird out of clean air.
The dark side of Tookie Tookie.
Right?
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't include that.
They're badass birds.
It wasn't on the painting by numbers kit they were using in
They would have had
casting the film.
Eating an emu or something like that.
Shrunken down.
When I did a bit of research, I was really excited, and linking back obviously to the places where they're from and how toucans have made their way into mythology. The ancient Aztecs believed that the toucan's beak was created from rainbows.
Oh, that's sweet.
Which I just thought was amazing. Apparently, it was said to be the toucan's reward for being messengers of the gods. And so sometimes the Aztecs would even perform rituals worshipping the toucans, believing that because their beak was created from rainbows, the gods would then grant them rain.
Do we know what those rituals were?
Yes.
Are they classic Aztec rituals?
Do you want to guess?
Well,
Something dies.
Something's being sacrificed.
Whether the toucan or a human.
A peasant?
Yeah.
Did they play a game? A camel? to see who would be killed?
I actually purposefully made sure I didn't pick one where somebody died. But I did have to do a bit of deep dive on this because the first source I read mentioned They worded it like, the ritual involved a member of the chosen family wearing a headdress of toucan feathers to plead with the toucan for rain. And I was like, okay, fine. And then it said, if the rain did not come within 3 days, it would then be offered back to the gods on a pyre. And I was like, what will be offered back? the human? Or the headdress? And
It's the headdress.
It was the headdress.
Oh.
You say that this is a ritual where nothing dies, but obtaining a headdress of toucan feathers doesn't sound like it bodes well for the toucan.
Excuse me, I believe that they gathered those from the ground over the entire year.
I'm sure.
Yeah. If we know anything about the Aztecs, it's their patience.
Yeah, of course. Loads of it. Endless amounts. Did you have any standout moments of Tookie Tookie in the film, or anything that you think overlapped in real life? So something I noticed, and actually I touched on this with Zazu, and I really liked it that you mentioned the hornbill earlier, because I did hornbills yesterday with Lucy. But
Zazu was the hornbill in The Lion King.
yeah, exactly. But they're quite similar in terms of, I don't mean the birds, but I mean the characters. They both play that sort of loyal companion role, but they're also sort of keeping the ship moving, right? Hierarchies. Would toucans fit well in any other hierarchies?
Like managerially.
Yes.
Cast a toucan in the office.
Yeah.
What's it going to be? A PA?
Are they... What do we know about them behaviour-wise,
I mean,
other than eating hummingbirds? And,
No,
you know,
they're large. So in terms of their...
maybe they're the whip in Parliament.
they're pretty... Generally in pairs.
Yeah.
Outside the breeding season, you can find them in groups, but they're not like a flocking bird.
Yeah.
They're generally pretty socially monogamous birds, just in their pairs.
And they're pretty handy with that bill.
Very handy with that bill, yeah.
Maybe they're like a soul trader,
Yeah.
like an electrician or a plumber, tradesperson.
I think they'd be selling something a bit fancier than that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could see one selling second-hand sports cars.
Oh yeah, now you're talking. And you're right, because they do have the business suit down bottom, flashy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I think they've got the suit on, but they've also got really gelled hair.
Or they're
A Rolex.
Or they're the car salesman at the start of Transformers.
Yeah.
You know, in like the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Really flashy.
Yeah.
Really loud. It's what's the guy's name who played him? Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Selling you a banger.
Fast talking.
Yeah.
You know, a dash of Danny DeVito in Matilda.
Right, yeah.
Where, you know, he's
Oh,
put sawdust
good
in the
choice.
Yeah.
in the gearbox or whatever he was doing. He's glued the bumper on.
Yeah.
But you're distracted by that flashy bill.
Yeah.
And at any moment he's going to eat your kid. So you better buy from him.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to test your fact-checking knowledge a bit further now. So...
On George of the Jungle or on Toucans? I'm prepared for one of these more than the other.
You can take it whichever way you want.
Okay.
Right. So, Tookie Tookie flew all the way from Africa
Yep.
to San Francisco
Yep.
to save George and give him a warning.
Yep.
Now, I know we've already stressed that they would not be flying from Africa.
Be a lot closer for an actual toucan to get to George.
What kind of journeys do we expect toucans to take, and would they be going on huge journeys like this?
Oh, I don't imagine toucans have any big migration things going on. Just, I imagine the tropical forests have all they need all year round, fruit, berries, you know, so outside of emergency, you know, declarations that Brother Ape has been kidnapped by the poachers, I don't think toucans are naturally doing such journeys.
And what could have we been sending from Africa? What bird would have been more advantageous to send in a position like this?
Oh, well, I mean, you've got swifts that migrate to Africa. And, you know, they're one of the fastest birds in level flight. I mean, it doesn't touch the ground. So how you're getting that message
Yeah.
is logistically difficult.
It's going to be really quick, just a number of times as it flies by his head in circles, bit by bit.
But it would get to you fast. Also, there are, in the UK, we have a falcon called a hobby, which is our only migratory falcon that breeds in the UK, and it hunts swifts and swallows and dragonflies. So it follows the birds as they go back to Africa, and it's incredibly agile. That does land, so maybe the hobby would be a good bird to get you.
But I feel like for the comedic relief, the swift would have been
yeah.
way better. You've just written that script for them.
George of the Jungle.
Because actually, when
In about the
Tookie
same
Tookie,
length of time they wrote it as well.
But when Tookie Tookie arrives, the whole point is he actually just does crash in. He doesn't land very gracefully. So we could have carried on the comedy there. Okay. Other things that I was considering. So how effective, you've already touched on this in the fact that they snap up hummingbirds, which makes me really sad. Tookie is highlight of the film. Are you going to guess what I'm going to say? He's projected at some point.
Yeah.
So he's projected out of an elephant's trunk
Yeah.
and into the bum of the poacher
Yeah.
to stop his attack. And he kind of lands like a dagger or a dart.
Yeah.
It's stuck in there. And we get this great line. Fella got toucan on can, which I really appreciated. How effective is their beak as a weapon, though? You mentioned that it's actually quite light. And yes, it's good at catching things. But as a weapon?
No, they don't use it. They use it to signal. We think the reason it's so brightly coloured is it's a way of signalling to each other. So toucans in general, I can't think of any exceptions to this room, aren't really sexually dimorphic. So the males and females don't look different. And we think that the reason they're so brightly coloured is it's just a way of showing each other their fitness, their genetic fitness. So they're doing their signalling, they're doing their fighting, they're weighing each other up by the colours. Birds can see in UV as well. How they actually see the colours of that beak, we don't really know, but that's what they're using as their sort of marker of how fit this other bird is that they're looking at. And then, in terms of a weapon, the only thing I know is that they will use it to snap up some unsuspecting other smaller animals. I think they'll take lizards and frogs and things like that as well. But no, they're not really using it to fight.
Okay. Right. So let's go back to the lack of decent representation. How many species do you think could have been put in that would have captured children's imagination to replace the ones that you listed earlier? Like, what would have you wanted to see that you think, kids would have, they didn't need to see an orangutan because they could have seen X, Y, Z?
Well, they already had a chimp.
Yeah.
They've got a chimp, and the chimp is like pouring drinks at George's wedding at the end, so...
Is that the one voiced by John Cleese?
No, that's Brother
gorilla.
Ape the gorilla. The chimp is an unnamed role. Only the gorillas have named parts here. And the elephant, who's his dog.
The Asian elephant.
Asian elephant called Shep, who acts like a dog.
Well, we could start there with African elephant.
Yeah.
Just put an African elephant
like
in that
they're there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so much easier. Okay, I like that one.
What other African animals then? What do you have in the jungle that would be nice? I'm trying to think of some of the smaller animals. Like we've said, there's a lot of the parrots there. You've got the hornbills. There's got to be...
All of the monkeys could have been replaced with African monkeys.
Bush babies?
Yeah.
Bush babies would have been a nice addition.
See, that would have been great.
A nice switch out for the capuchin.
Yeah.
The rhesus macaques, who are the more... Capuchin monkey is... I think it was that era near the end. Like Friends had a capuchin monkey in it.
Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura had a capuchin monkey, and then Pirates of the Caribbean had I don't know if it was the one capuchin monkey who just cleaned up in Hollywood in the late 90s.
Probably.
But,
Probably was,
they could have swapped him
now
out.
retired to the ranch.
Exactly, yeah. He had a great agent. The bush babies just weren't represented like they needed to be. But swap out him for the bush baby.
Yeah.
Swap out the macaques who were playing the more background monkeys for...
mandrills.
Baboons, mandrills.
Like a mandrill in
Exactly. All of the parrots, just use any parrot from Africa.
African greys.
Yeah, exactly.
The smart, potentially the smartest bird on Earth.
Crocodile tooth necklace, just have a crocodile tooth on it. Doesn't even have to be a real crocodile tooth. Obviously, the shark tooth probably wasn't real, but that, again, just get it right.
Yeah.
Have they gone for a shark tooth because it's bigger?
Yeah. I bet so.
It's not
They're
even...
more impressive.
Yeah, but it's not like a meg... It's not like a meg...
No, it's not
you can get a
huge.
chunky tooth out of a big...
But crocodile teeth are quite thin, aren't they? Whereas shark tooth is like the shark, that would hurt me tooth.
You think a Nile crocodile, like a 6-meter Nile crocodile, it's not going to have a needle for a tooth.
No, but I still think a shark tooth is more impressive. to a producer.
I think if you'd put the time in and watched the film and seen the size of the shark tooth that we're talking about here, a crocodile tooth could have easily. But I take your point that they've got the curve, they've got the nicer shape. Yeah.
Am I right in saying, is it the capuchin monkey that was kind of dressed in a little bikini? Was it the capuchin monkey?
Pass.
So
I took in a lot of the film, but some bits.
Well,
Funnily enough, not that bit.
I realised because obviously Brendan Fraser has been sort of dominating Hollywood again a little bit recently. So he's been talking a little bit about his experience on George of the Jungle more recently, which obviously you get a more honest take. And
now that he's cashed the check.
Yes, exactly. And he's allowed back in Hollywood. So I really liked it. He hated the monkey, like hated it. So on a talk show, he just said that it was a real nightmare working specifically with what I believe is the captured monkey. And he said that basically the monkey, and I quote, found himself in acting. And he was like, he just had so much attitude that he got a little overconfident about his acting. And he would get frustrated when he didn't get his take the way he wanted it. So apparently he would like stalk off into the ceiling when the director called cut or tried to put them back on their marks. He understood that they were redoing a take, and he would like run away into the ceiling, and he would just start throwing things at the cast members. And I found out that the reason for this weird little bikini thing is because they had this big conversation about genitalia, because it's a male monkey. They were like, no, we need to keep this hidden. And he would just get mad and like rip it off when the take didn't go well.
What a diva.
There is a moment in the film where I'm quite sure that little monkey's at full mast. Like, it's just straight. It was quick enough, but yes. Because I was like, oh my God, is it?
Yeah, I think it is, because they had loads of issues with it. He said it became really difficult.
Yeah.
And he said that at one point, he was like, I couldn't admit this at the time, but he was like, at one point, when he got like at the height of his frustration, he's like, he literally just started jacking off in the ceiling. And we just had to wait. It's like, that's actually
You wouldn't
hilarious.
get that from a bush baby.
No, but my favourite bit about
Heard
this...
similar stories about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah. But like this bit was too much for me. Too much, because he said that basically the monkey, he was trained to whisper into Brendan Fraser's ear as part of, you know, his part in the show. And he basically would get mad sometimes, and when he would lean in, he would then just stick his tongue as far down his eardrum as he could, and Brendan Fraser would just have him kind of get on with it for the take, and he was like, yeah, I literally hated working with the monkey.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me enough money to have to interact with a monkey like that. I'm just not. They just weird me out. Monkey, like yeah.
Yeah, really creepy.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it at all. I also thought that we could talk a little bit around things to do with toucans in general, because obviously the Tookie Tookie stuff's fun, but although he's in the film quite a lot, they don't actually make that much of his character. As is the nature of that film, it's quite one-dimensional, right? It's like, okay, so he's his loyal companion. He's here doing loyal stuff.
Yeah, he didn't have the same agent as the capuchin.
No, not at all. He
Wait
just
till they build out
turns
the
up.
George in the Jungle verse, though, when we get the Tookie, the Tookie prequel.
But I wondered, did you know that there is a constellation inspired by the toucan?
No.
Ah, yes. So I really like this. So this constellation first appeared on a celestial globe in 1598. So it was put there because a Dutch astronomer and cartographer who's called Petrus Plancius depicted something called toucana as part of a group he collectively referred to as the southern birds. So there was a whole list of southern birds that he put on the celestial globe in 1598, and all of these appeared in Johann Bayer's star atlas, which is called Uranometria, and he put them on in 1603. But in the same year, which I found really interesting, Frederick de Houtman got involved, and he decided that on his constellation atlas, Den Indianschen Exter op Indies lang Genemet, which means the Indian magpie,
I've
named
got a copy.
Lang in the Indies. he just replaced toucana to be, basically hornbill, because he thought, well, that's native to the East Indies and Malaysia. But he didn't succeed. That was very short-lived, and Toucana has been continued. So
there is a whole there's a whole sort of group of celestial bodies that are named after birds from like south of the equator.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But that also suggests that 16th century astronomers were better at representing nature accurately than 20th and 21st century Hollywood producers with all the resources at their disposal.
Yeah.
That resource being Google.
Yeah, and money.
Yeah, and going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked it because there's as well. They took it really seriously. There was 8 different constellations within Toucana too. So you had Alpha, Gamma, Zeta, Beta, Epsilon, Delta, Nu, and Eta Toucana. So they all exist. They're really cute.
The Toucan Avengers.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them. And I was thinking how interesting it is that they've tried to classify what those things mean. So, like, they're part of a binary star system. There's a yellow-white giant star. There's a yellow-white dwarf star. So the Toucana gets some really good rep there, which I thought was really nice.
Big up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, we're coming to the end, so I just need to ask you the most important question that I can't believe I nearly forgot. So, on How Many Geese, my favourite segment of the show is when you take a creature and you work out how many of them you could fight in battle. Obviously, in honour of today's episode, which is all about toucans, my question to you, Roddy and Jack, is how many toucans is too many toucans?
Oh,
I think it has to be more than 2. Because if 2 can take me, then...
I was going to say, we've got to start at toucan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's terrain this. I'm going to propose off the bat, taking them out of their comfort zone, the African jungle.
Interestingly, my comfort zone is not the African jungle. So we're both on shaky foundations here.
Shaky foundations. Okay. Now, toucans. What do we know about toucans? They are...
Big Bill.
Big Bill.
Eat baby hummingbirds.
Big Bill.
Yep.
Do we think if they went out to a restaurant, they would also have a big bill? You're really seeing behind the... We're peeling back
I like
the
the
curtain.
lateral thinking.
This is all the stuff we edit out, Kelly.
I love it.
When we're doing our fight
I want to see
section.
how the brains work.
I like this as well. So then, because we've already established that there is a 16th century dynasty of toucans descended from alpha toucan, beta toucan, gamma toucan, in a kind of...
Some of which were used car salesmen.
Yeah, but there's still like an Illuminati... What are they called? Not the Illuminati, the Masons.
The Freemasons. The
Freemasons. The
or whatever.
toucan Freemasons.
Yeah.
Right. I'm taking them out to dinner, wining and dining them, the descendant of alpha toucan, beta toucan, gamma toucan.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing a runner at the restaurant so that they can pick up the bill.
Yeah. So what sort of restaurant we're going to?
Oh, high-end, Michelin.
How many seats do we think you can fit around one table?
Oh, I think it's how many toucans were in the dynasty? In the constellation?
Oh, 8.
8.
8 toucans, financially crippling them.
I'm financially crippling 8 Freemason toucans.
And escaping out the back door.
And escaping out the back door.
With a belly full of caviar.
And baby hummingbirds. The finest delicacy in Michelin restaurants.
Is that how you're going to distract them, actually? They're not going to notice because they've just been served the hummingbirds?
Exactly.
They've been so they're sort of instead of a cheese board at the end, it's just a platter of baby hummingbirds, and that's when you make your exit.
Well, thank you so much for being my guest. I've really, really enjoyed having you on the show. I really hope that some of my listeners come over and find out how incredible How Many Geese is. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Bird Fair.
Thank you very much,
pleasure.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Take care.
Elliot explains. I have a toucan. It looks after my face wash. It told me that toucans don't fly. They tend to hop about from tree to tree, but when they do fly, they flap very hard so they can't fly very far.